These issues. We're joined here in Cleveland by Kani Zula, who is director of the American Kurdish Information Network. Welcome to Democracy Now! It's great to have you back again with us, Kani. Talk about what happened in Turkey.
A coup happened. Its object was to take over the government. It wanted to topple Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Even the best of the Turkish generals would have been a disaster for Turkey, even though Erdogan is a dictator wannabe leader right now. So the fact that the coup failed is good news for the people of Turkey. But the people that should have led the coup would have been the people themselves. If they had led this attempt to topple Erdogan, who was acting like a dictator, it would have been better, like in Philippines, like in Romania. That didn't happen. Erdogan now feels like he is the sultan. He is arresting people left and right. Internet access has been suspended. My hunch is he will continue acting like this. Just this morning, John Kerry said if he continues like this, Turkey's membership of NATO could be suspended. I wish he had also said the same when some 5 cities were bombarded last year, turned into rubbles. Some 7,000 people were killed, Kurds, some fighters. He didn't say anything about suspending Turkey's membership in NATO then. And now that some of the military officers and some of the judges are arrested, he's talking about Turkey needs to be a democracy to be a part of NATO.
Where did the Kurds fit into this picture?
The Kurds, they didn't want this military coup either. They came out against it. But there's a war going on for a whole year now. Erdogan wants to consolidate his power, and he wants to. He kind of thinks that in adversity people come together, and if there's a war against the Kurds, if some soldiers die, then the country will unite behind him. That's his strategy, but you don't make progress by declaring war on a minority like the Kurds.
What is Erdogan's Syria policy, and is that what motivated the generals?
Well, the generals have been unhappy with him because he has tried to reorient the direction of the country towards Mecca and Medina, if you will. Atatürk, the founder of Turkey, a general with many shortcomings, but he at least said the country should reorient itself towards Europe, should separate the mosque from the state. On his watch, he served for life, but he at least had some semblance of institutions that you could say were working and were making progress towards a European open society, rule of law. But with Erdogan's coming to power, initially he was open to that. But after his breakup with Fethullah Gulen, he's now literally acting like a one-man show, and he doesn't like criticism. He doesn't like...
Now, let's talk about Fethullah Gulen, who lives in the Poconos in Pennsylvania. He's demanding his extradition.
Correct.
Kerry says he hasn't, the Secretary of State, put in the requisite documents for his extradition. But you just pointed out that Gulen and Erdogan were close allies until just a few years ago.
They were. They actually defanged the military. A lot of Gulen supporters were in the Turkish police, and they helped Erdogan to send the army back to the barracks, if you will. And that was good. The bad news came when he and Erdogan broke up, and then Erdogan decided to act like a dictator, to throw journalists in prison, to open a war, declare a war on the Kurds. And then in terms of his Syria policy, Turkey became a jihadi highway, if you will. Some 35,000 foreign troops, foreign fighters, many from Southeast Asia, from Africa, from Europe, some from Caucasus in the former Soviet Union. They would come to Turkey. They would then cross the border. Erdogan didn't like Assad. He's an Alawite. He's a minority Alawite sect. Erdogan himself is Sunni. He thought Syria would become a satellite state. That didn't work out. And now there are talks that he might actually talk to Assad so that the two could put the Kurdish autonomy 6 feet under, if you will, because the Kurds in the north of the country have established a federal entity where 2.5 million Kurds live.
Finally, the death penalty. Erdogan has arrested 6,000 people and is calling for reinstatement of the death penalty. What do you see happening?
Well, if he says the people want this, his fans came out, and many of them didn't really say long live democracy. Many of them would say, Sharia. Some would say Allahu Akbar. So the signs aren't really good. This democracy was saved, but democracy itself is sick. Democracy itself is not really healthy. If he hangs these generals, I think the army, which remains a bastion of Kemalist, Ataturkist, secular commanders, I think the country will go further towards the crisis and break up.
Well, Kanish Zulam, I want to thank you very much for being with us, Director of the American Kurdish Information Network. Why are you here, by the way?
I'm here to educate the Americans who are here to elect a leader who then will become, will be voted as the president of this country. And I thought they should know about the Kurds, about the Middle East. And unfortunately, I fear that the world is going towards a crisis. And many people think Trump could address these issues. And I thought if that becomes the reality, then his people should know who the Kurds are, what the Kurds want in the Middle East.
Kani Zulan, thanks so much for being with us. As we move from Turkey to